What's up, guys? It's Ricky, and I'm going to make a video declining the invitation for a second discussion with Abba on the Unpopular podcast, and I'm going to state why. Now, the reason why I'm going to do this publicly is because I do think there's a lot of elements in this that actually can be beneficial for everyone else. And if you wanted to do debates and there are certain points that I might mention here that might be beneficial for you as well, so that you might also be able to convey the information that is necessary in that particular discussion. So for those that don't know, I did a discussion with Abba that was almost about 3 hours plus. They published their episodes and I think they're done. I'm not sure. I don't know. How long did we talk? And so they published the last parts, I think. I'm not sure. I haven't listened to the last one. And we were scheduled to have a discussion about Jesus, Messiah, Savior, or consciousness. So is it Christ consciousness that we care about, or is it Jesus the Savior that we care about? And so that was the conversation. It was going to be an amazing conversation if we have a conversation, if Abba is not lecturing. But there are certain things that I want to state here that I think have deterred that. There are certain things that I'm going to list here. The other points I was going to overlook, it's the main one that I think is the defining factor for me. So after I did that, I made a small video, a couple of videos. I think I made 2 videos on my platform responding to what happened on the podcast. And I got a call from Abba where he's stating why that was a coward move. For me to respond, now bear in mind, I gave you time to come to your platform. On the day when I came, I did not even work on my platform. You can go back and check, you'll see. On the day when I came to your platform, I didn't even make videos on my own platform, but I came and I gave you the time. I didn't rush anybody. We had the conversation for as long as we could, and I left, right? We sat down, we even said we ate, then we left, right? Now, for him to call me and then say it was coward of me to make video responses on my platform, that for me is disrespectful. It's disrespectful because, first of all, you don't respect me as a person who owns my own thing. I have my own platform. I gave you time when I came to yours. I gave you time to insult me as much as you want. I don't speak like that. So that's how you talk. That's cool. But for me to be told that it's coward of me to respond to misinformation you said on your platform, which you didn't give me time to answer to on my platform, that's disrespectful. That's where we draw the line. And for me, that call was the line. Why? Because Abba's dominant nature, or wanting to dominate every conversation, it's not beneficial to long-term friendships or anything. Like you cannot sustain a conversation with the person you disagree with if you are willing to offend people like that. If you're willing to pick up the phone and say that's a coward move. Why risk it so much? Why risk to offend someone that bad? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. But for me, that's why I'm declining. I'm declining because in that phone call, even when I'm trying to explain, dude, it's my platform. I have the right to respond. He didn't care for that. He kept on the insults and whatnot. So, but that's beside that. That's over there. Why? But because he wants to be dominant. We must all agree with Abba. That is not a good characteristics to carry. Now, you might find that you are exactly like that. So I say this video might be beneficial to another person. What you're going to see is that people just always depart from your presence, or you'll have friends that just don't stay. People always go away. It's because when you are that type of a person who, unless I agree with you, I'm stupid, right? You're going to risk offending them at all costs. And at that point, only when they get out from your space, then you get it. And getting it is one thing. even after that, you might still hold to that. You know what? He's not a man. It depends. Some characters are like that. But even when you call me and then you are willing to be, it's a coward, that's a what? It's like all those things. For me, that's not a character. That's not a characteristics that I'm willing to. I don't want you to think you're right in doing that. So we pause it right there. You can keep it over there. You can do lectures over there. But at a point where you are willing to risk to offend me like that, where you're going to call me, and even when you call me, I answer the call, pick up, we talk, but it's not a conversation. It's still a lecture even on the call. Come on, dude. At that point, personally, listen, I have people that love me. I have people that treasure my time. I'd rather devote my time to that, right? I don't want to devote my time to people, to a person who I have a conversation. If I don't agree with you, I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you. It's that, period. The things that you know, the things that you've learned, they are yours. I don't care for them, right? Mans them don't care. Man them was not there. Man them didn't tell man them to go lend them man them things, right? You decided to go lend that. You value that. Good for you. I don't care. The information we learn should create a greater responsibility out of us. But if the only responsibility is to pick up a phone call and say, you're coward, that's a coward move, we're not doing that. So that's the reason why I'm declining that discussion. It's because of that. And also, I can look over the subject of shouting and all those things and almost hitting me with your scarf as a guest on your platform. I can look over those things because, I know guys get overheated. I had a lot of Nigerian friends. They were like that. Yeah. I can live with that. That's why when you do those things, and I was into battle rap. And so you kind of get used to people being in your face and whatnot. But I can overlook those things because I'm from that. I'm from those battle rap periods and whatnot. But at a point when I don't have an individual voice, am I just agree with you? No, brother. Let's just not be next to each other. Let's just leave it there. Let's just leave it there, because if it invalidates me as a person who's built a platform this massive, and I can only speak when I'm on your platform where I'm not allowed to respond either ways, what are we doing? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time for me. Maybe you have things to treasure your time with. You can do that, And then also on the subject of shouting as well. I remember a period when my fiance would say over the call when we were having an argument, Ricky, you're shouting. She would say, Ricky, you're shouting. What? She's like, Ricky, you're shouting. So, and I'm like picking it up. I'm like hearing what she's saying. Okay, I'm shouting. She's like shouting. So I started to kind of like notice that, to change that if I'm right about something, I don't have to be loud when I'm right. And over the years, God used her to change that out of me. So it's part of the portions. Of course, the Holy Spirit does that by himself, but also we still must also yield. We still must also yield when we are corrected in something, and then we change, we make adjustments and things. And so I'm not naturally loud. So if a person chooses to be loud at their own conversation, it's good. That's a conversation you want to have. When we are in the discussion and we say, hey, you know what, this particular portion, let's cut this particular portion out. And then when I'm watching the video, those particular portions where we said, hey, can you cut that particular portion out? And when I'm watching the video, it's there. If you watch Saul, when Saul and McG were talking to Natasha, they asked her, is there anything that you want us to cut? And she was like, no, it's all good. And so as a podcaster, I don't expect the viewer to understand this, but as a podcaster, there are certain portions of a conversation you'll know to cut and whatnot. And so when that doesn't, like I said, if you're willing to offend a person to that level, I have teachers over my life. Okay, I have people that teach me and people that I learn from and whatnot. And so I'm not looking to acquire new teachers, let alone from African spirituality. So I don't have a place to be learning the things that you want to lecture me on and stuff. So I don't have room for that. There are things that I'm already learning. I'm already behind on some of them. And so we have to value each other at that point. The same way when we go to university, others go to be doctors, others want to be engineers. You have to narrow down. So for me, it doesn't benefit me anything to try and be learned. Like there's parts of the conversation where you're just like, do you know this? Do you know this? You don't. Let me teach you. When you're talking to someone, you don't have to speak like that. Why do you speak like that? Why? Like these are things I was willing to overlook. Like, okay, that's part of your thing, but it's a very negative thing. It brings out a very negative conversation. Okay? If you're saying what you're saying, say what you're saying, dude. You don't need me to now, okay, yes, I must now say yes to everything. You're saying something, just say what you say. Do you know this? You don't need to say that. It's very condescending to the conversation. It's very disrespectful to your guest, right? And so there was a lot of things that you were willing to be offensive about, that are allowed to slide. Even at the point when he was offended because I said he was all over the place. Like I went back and I looked at that thing and I was like, why was this offensive? I don't get it. You were willing to offend me from the beginning of the interview. And when I say you're all over the place, that's offensive. Because if you look at the interview, I will state something. He picks a word out of what I said and he starts a new conversation. That's not a way to debate. And that's a thing also for someone to learn. If you're going to debate, you got to stay on the point. Because people say things in the middle of the conversation that are not part of the debate. You can rather come back to them, but you cannot start a new debate over that. Abba debates like that. If you listen back to the conversation, it's so comprehensible because he would allow you to say something and then he debates that. And why does that happen? Information overload. When you are on information overload and you feel like every single point you know or everything you've studied, because you've spent so much time on that study, you need to turn into a lecture. That's why he's willing to interrupt people through a conversation. That's why he's willing to interrupt people, because he's learned so much. He doesn't hold the information for himself. He feels this burden to teach everybody. Not everybody is your student. That's important to understand. And that goes for everybody that's out there talking. You have to understand, not everybody. There are things that I can say in my discipleship class that I don't say on YouTube. There are things that I can say in discipleship class. These people are learning directly from me. That don't fly. So because of that reason right there, everything else, like I said, I didn't mind it. Even if you watch my first video, I'm not saying this now because he's called me. No. If you watch my first video, I was clear that was not deterring my conversations with him. But until the call, when he called and he said that, so I'm like, you know what? It's a waste of time. You see, each and every single individual, when you look at another person, you have to remember there are people that love Ricky. There are people that follow Ricky. There are people that listen to Ricky's thingy. There are people that love having me in their presence. You might not. It's fine. But there are people that love having me in their presence. And those people I want in my presence. But at the same time, you must remember, I would rather prioritize my time with those people. Yes, there's time that I will give to criticism and what and all those things. But there's time when I need to realize this is wasted effort. So for me, if I come back there, because you don't value what I say when I'm on your platform, because you don't allow me to answer, and then you are going to say that I mustn't respond to anything on my own platform, what's the point? So I hope that answers it, and I hope that clears the air concerning why I'm declining. I'm not declining because, the debate was so bad for Ricky. So I value that conversation. You can ask anybody that talk with me. I thought that conversation was really good. Even as it portrayed itself, I thought it was still good even at that. Even when you changed the conversation and you decided to talk about, I thought it was a great conversation because it highlighted, okay? Highlighted the things that we need to study, the things that we need to further ourselves on. I thought it was valuable at that point. But when you can now call me and say, you can't respond on your own platform, that's when we stop it. That's when we're like, okay, now you know what? Give lectures, bruv. Give lectures. It's cool. Not doing that. And so for me, I'm going to leave it here and say, I'm going to decline that next conversation because I don't think you want to have a conversation with a person you disagree with. You clearly want to have conversations with people that agree with you, or people that are going to listen to you and I come to agree with you. I've been a Christian apologist for over 10 years. Some of the subjects that you bring up, I've studied them over the years. Okay? I might have not studied them to the depth at which you have studied them. Like, even when he brings up the subject matter of the Abraham, I knew the story, but I could not quote it. It was actually Luandiso who brought it up, and I'm like, yes, it's in the Quran, the Jewish writings as well, okay, Mishnahs and whatnot and all those things. So, this, and also that particular book, by the way, the thingy, the particular storyline of thingy, it also contains the story of Abraham and the fire thingy, which is also very weird. That tells you how fictional that entire thing is. But how fictional, because that story was not known outside of Jewish mythologies. So, if my conversation with you results to me not having a voice of my own, except agreeing with you, it's not worth having. I was willing to give the benefit of the doubt to the shouting, the what, and the mistreatment, all that, until you are very clear that it doesn't matter what I respond. Either on your platform, you didn't give me the chance, or on my platform. If I do it on my platform, it's coward. So at that point, it's cool. Let's just not have the conversation. I've stated before, I used to debate Muslims. Muslims will go at you to offend you, okay? Go at you. One day I'll run over to find that particular Baba that used to cut me, and he'll tell you the story. He'll tell you the story. I'll have like 15 different Muslims debating. There's like hours and hours, 6 hours end, and I'm still there at the shop until he has to close the shop, you know? And so being offended, it's something that you just get used to, especially when you're an apologist and stuff. But at the point when we don't have a voice, except agreeing with you, no, that's not a conversation I'm interested in. It's not difficult to understand. I don't agree with you. It's just that, you know? But that's why. It's not because of anything else. That particular, until the moment when you called me, I was still going to do the second part. But when you call me and you tell me, no, it's coward for you to do the video on your platform, I'm like, nah, we don't do that. It's Ricky. Value relationships, value conversations. I value conversations highly. I've been like that from thinking. That's what made me leave Islam, by the way. Because in Islam, you were not allowed to ask the questions. You know, you ask the questions about what? Wait a minute. Aisha said this. Wait a minute. Aisha said this. Wait a minute. You know, Khadija, and you know, like when you start to ask the questions of all this, wait, Meccan revelations versus Medina and whatnot, you know, like when you start to balance out all these things, that's where they start having issues. Because they can't answer to those things, you know. And so we should have that respect, you know. Let's not be Ubuntu in talk. Be Ubuntu in person, you know. You had me there on your platform. Show Ubuntu there. Show Ubuntu there. Why you want to show Ubuntu on conversation and you can't show it there? That's a place for you to show it. It's not in lip service. It's also there, right there. You see me as a person who's lost, right? No problem. Brainwashed, right? Where's your love there? It's not there? Nothing? Come on, y'all. And so, for me, all these things. That's why I love dogma. Like, I know they people in African spiritual don't like dogma. Yeah, because dogma allows us to track progress in maturity. Like, okay, no, this person is growing spiritually. Not only are they growing spiritually, they're growing in knowledge, they're growing in this. You can see it. It's not just talk. It's not just lip service. You say you love your brethren, or you kumbisa ubuntu. Let's see the ubuntu. But if I come to your platform, the ubuntu is 0 levels, except almost hitting me with a scarf. That's the only version of ubuntu I'm gonna have. Come on, y'all are out here. It's Ricky, and I'll see you.